Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We're in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. Now, we have the parable of the talents. And a talent was a measure of money, was equivalent to about 15 to 20 years worth of labor. And if your translation says bags of gold, or if that's really not quite what it is. I think the best way to interpret this is actually to think about these measures as periods of time. So the one who had 5 talents has the equivalent of 45 years. The guy who has 2 talents has the equivalent of 30 years. And the guy who has 1 talent has the equivalent of 15 years. What can you do in that amount of time? So the master entrusts his wealth to his servants. And the first 2 guys, number 5 and number 2, they double the amount. They risk what's been entrusted with them, and they use what the master gave them. And the thing that they seem to know is that the master has trusted them. And they trust the master, that if we do what we're supposed to, the master is going to be good to us. And the thing is, they're really not risking anything because it's not their money. It's not their investment. It belongs to the master. And so they literally have permission from the master to go bankrupt. We, as Christians, have permission to go bankrupt for God. And who's the ultimate servant of God who goes bankrupt? Who's the one who takes his master's wealth, his kingdom, really risks it all, right? Who's the one who goes bankrupt, fulfilling his master's purposes? Well, it's Jesus, who empties himself of all the riches of heaven, all the wealth of heaven, so that we might become rich and God can lavish the riches of his grace on us. So one of the things to see in this parable is really a pointing to Jesus, who goes bankrupt for the Father. And Jesus knows that the Father is the God of resurrection. So Jesus is willing to lose everything on the cross for us, and God exalts him, right? Raising him up and seating him at the right hand. And if there's a resurrection, is there really any risk? If there's a resurrection, too big to fail, you can't be too big to fail with God, right? He's already paid the burden, and he's already won the victory with the resurrection. So why would we be afraid to invest what God is giving to us? And then we come down to guy number 1 with the 1, right? And this servant is lazy and wicked. He's schlepping around because he thinks that the master is harsh and unforgiving. He knows the master not through grace, but through the law. And which means he really doesn't know the master, because he's looking at him from the outside, and he thinks that all this master is going to do is punish him. And the master says to the servants who have doubled his investment, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in a few things. I'm going to put you in charge of even more. And it's not necessarily a matter of money. It's a matter of responsibilities. What could God do through you? And think about it. If God can do anything through you, then why would you be afraid to risk yourself for him? And then Jesus goes on to say, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. If you have the kingdom, you're going to be given even more of the kingdom. But whoever does not have, if all you have is the law, even what you do have is going to be taken away from you. And so what is the wealth of God that's been given to you? It's the kingdom. It is the gospel. And what's the talent that are you given? And how are you using this to glorify God? It's sort of the big question. But ultimately, this is about the gospel, not about works. So my friends, thanks. Have a blessed day.